Uh, yeah. Alright, guys. Today is a pretty bad day for me, and for a lot of people. I think Konami has just updated the game in the absolute worst way possible. I couldn't really think of many ways Konami could actually kill Yu-Gi-Oh! In just one or two updates, and they've managed to, take us all by surprise and actually honestly managed to like pull off like a miracle and really come up with like the most useless but also most garbage update imaginable, and you'll see this in a second. But yeah, this was posted like today, as you can see, September 4th 2025, and this is on the European website, but it's just a matter of time before it comes on the North American website, unless it gets reverted, just like the Time Wizard thing, if enough people complain, because this is a pretty bad one, unless you're like a casual and you don't play. So yeah, but if you're a competitive player, this is gonna piss you off. Okay, so look at this. There are two changes. The first one, obviously, the time limit. So Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG Swiss rounds have been extended to 50 minutes from 45, so you get to 5 extra minutes. However, the difference is that now whenever time gets called, there's no like, oh, check your life points, and by the end of the phase, the player with the most amount of life points is gonna win. No. Now, at the end of, when time gets called, if, like, there's still a match going on, it's over. Both of you guys have lost, regardless of who's up, who won a game and who didn't. No. Now, there is no draws, which means that, everybody's losing. You can actually argue that this is a good thing for the game long term, and I was actually going to make a video on this. I'm probably going to make, like, an in-depth video on both of these updates. However, the first one, like, concerning time, like I said, this one, it's actually, like, debatable whether it's good or bad. I actually lean a little more on, like, the good side because, well, you do get 5 extra minutes, which is cool. And also, you have to wait a little less for some people slow playing and, etc. However, some people obviously are going to take advantage of this and, they're going to drag you along with them. Like, you're about to beat me, I might as well beat you as well, like both of us are gonna lose. It's not really fun. I don't think a lot of people will be doing this just because it's really scummy, and I hope nobody's gonna be doing this, but it gets way worse, way worse. Subsection G, number of rounds in general. What changed? This is a new subsection to accommodate the difference in number of rounds required for specific tournaments tiers. It never changed from a mathematical standpoint, so they're going to be trafficking it to make it not like mathematically appropriate, and you're gonna see this in just a second. So for tier 1 and tier 2 events, this is like your local OTSs and these small tournaments. The maximum top cut for any any number of tournament participants is 8. So your locals, your top 8s, they're never gonna be more than top 8. I think this is irrelevant because you can't say that you top a regional if you're not in top 8. Therefore, by default, a top is a top 8. And you can kind of say the same about locals. So this quite literally changes nothing, it just makes it official. That's it. But yeah, this is completely fine. Nobody's gonna care about like tier 1 and tier 2 events because nobody's really affected by this. So this quite literally changes nothing, it just clarifies information that already exists. However, this is brand new, and this affects YCS's World Championship qualifiers as well as the World Championship, even though the World Championship doesn't really matter too much. There is a chart to explain the correct number of buys along with the information on the modifiers, because yes, Konami has decided to be stupid and keep the system in, which is really dumb. Anyways, there is also a chart to explain the new top cut. The maximum top cut for any number of tournament participants is 8. In other words, what this means is that regardless of the amount of players, regardless, you will never be able to say that you made a top 32 or top 16 at a YCS. You can't say this anymore. If you are not in the top 8 standings after Swiss, you by default have not topped the YCS, which is insanity. It's completely insane. So you need to have like a ridiculously good record after the Swiss rounds in order to have a chance. I'm gonna explain why this is asinine in just a second, but anyways. Top Cut rounds no longer have a time limit. Nobody asked for this because, in Top Cut, especially from like top 8 all the way to like the finals, you get like 10 to 15 extra minutes. And also, bro, you're playing against good players who have no interest in slow playing, and also there's no draws, and also the end of match procedures are different. So it doesn't matter that Top Cut rounds don't have a time limit. I've seen a comment on Facebook. I think people are completely lost. They understand nothing because it's so obvious that they don't play the game competitively, but some people think that the end of match procedures, they were also affecting the top cut, where you could have like a double loss. How can you have a double loss in top cut? This makes no sense. It made sense that there's either like a change in end of match procedure or obviously infinite time, but if the game is naturally long, it's fine. Just to like show how stupid this is. Like, this was not needed. Like I said, nobody asked for this, and nobody was affected negatively by the time limit in the top cut rounds, only the Swiss rounds, as if this couldn't get any worse. 2 additional Swiss rounds have been added, so total number of Swiss rounds depended upon the number of duelists enrolled at the start of the tournament. Now it's that plus 2, which is insane. So now if you're playing like a 400 player YCS, instead of having the 9 round, you know, YCS treatment, you've got 11 rounds of Swiss, which is insanity. 11 rounds for like a small event. Why did it have to be so big? Regardless of how many duelists enter a tier 3, such as a YCS or WCQ, or tier 4 tournament, such as Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship, the top cut playoff will cap at a duelist. Again, Worlds are unaffected by this because it was a top cut playoff of top 8 anyways. This only affects YCSs and WCQs. Have you realized something? Like, imagine the WCQ, like any WCQ, Euros, whatever, that will be a top 8. Imagine, it's already 12 rounds of Swiss right now. Now you gotta play 14 rounds of Swiss, and also, you don't even have a chance to potentially qualify for the top cut that makes you go to Worlds unless your record is insane. And just in case you're wondering what is the record that you need, this has been posted by, I think, Yahweh on Australian Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of like a mathematical approach of, you know, determining which score will be topping, because there's no more draws. So now it's actually super easy to calculate, which I guess you can say, like I said, is a good thing. I'm not really complaining about like the end of match procedures. I'm really complaining about, you know, the top cut change. But yeah, based on 950 players and 12 rounds of Swiss, which means, you know, 10 in reality, but plus 2, and then a top 8 top cut, those would be like the final records that would top. So if you have a 12-0 score, 0.2 will make it, so obviously 1. And then if you've got an 11-1 score, 3 players will make it. If you have 10 wins and 2 losses, there will be 15 players with that score, which means that only 5 players will be able to make it, and then 10 will miss. This is simply unreal. Imagine saying that 1/3 of the X2s cannot make top cut because too many rounds increases the likelihood of you losing. Because again, remember, you can't have any other score. Like you either win or you lose now. God, why did it have to be top 8 playoff? Like, this is the exact opposite of what the community asked for. Like, we wanted Konami to actually turn the YCS top cut into like top 64, even if it was like a smaller event, because topping YCS is way too hard right now. It's because of multiple things, because of draws, because of buys, because of, you know, the game having, you know, a lot of variance in it. So there's a lot of uncontrollable losses, meaning that regardless of how good you are, you can lose twice to uncontrollable game states, and that's it. Like, now you're in the 15.3 players with a 10-2 score, regardless again of how good you played. You can literally be perfect at the game. You can have the best strategy in the room by far. You know, you can get unlucky. Maybe the 5 players who are topping, they were UDS champions, or they had VIPs. They had the 2-round bye, which means that they only had to play the normal amount of Swiss rounds, and on top of that, they're always leapfrogging everyone else that has the same score as them. That's one of the things that people complain about. Konami is literally just taking everything that people want, they're throwing it to the garbage, and everything that people hate, they're like, yeah, you know what, let's keep doing that, you know, or actually, let's make it worse. Sorry. By the way, just to clarify something, the pricing doesn't actually change. If you finish, let's say 15th or 16th, whatever, in standings, you still get the Effect Veiler price card. You know, it still makes it ultra hard to get, because now the only actual way to get it is by quite literally making your way all to top 16 after standings, which is insanely difficult again, like I said. So it's not easy. Whereas before, you know, you could get like 29, 30, or 32nd after Swiss. You know, you just play out like top cut, you win one, you lost in top 16, okay, sure, that's fine, but at the very least, you're getting your price card. And also, like I said, it was 2 less Swiss rounds, so it was a little easier for you in case you were playing on the bubble. Now, Konami is just, they're increasing the stress, which is pretty funny, because, like I said, it's the exact opposite of what they initially wanted. The reason why the pricing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Was bad wasn't because Konami is a cheap company, or because, you know, like, they don't care. It's because they want people to not think about, like, the pricing when they play. They want to alleviate the stress that comes with playing competitively, and the way for them to do that is by making it so that instead of, you know, thinking about like, oh, okay, I just need to win like one more, or I need to like not lose, rather, in order to get like those prizes. Oh, I'm just here to have fun, you know, I'm here to like meet new people, etc, blah blah blah. But now it's like you really have to think only of the prizing almost, like once you get to like a certain point, because you're playing way too much Yu-Gi-Oh! You're gonna have a burnout, you're gonna hate yourself, and you're gonna hate everyone around you. This is doing everything that leads to people despising the game, and a lot of people are actually considering quitting the game because of this new update. Like, it's literally that bad. Obviously, I can't quit the game because I make content off of this game, so it's just me being honest. Regardless of how like bad the game becomes, it is what it is. I mean, I can just make these videos saying how dog shit this whole update was. I mean, maybe not the whole update, because like I said, the time thing you can actually argue. But and then apart from that, everything else is like whatever, who cares? Like intentional draws subsection has been removed. So yeah, with the new end of match procedures, match can no longer end in a draw, intentional or otherwise, so it doesn't really matter too much. And then reporting the match result in addition to the game loss applied to the next round for the duelist responsible for submitting a match result within the 5 minutes of the end of the round. Both duelists will receive a match loss for the current round. So even more people can lose. If the round ended in end of match procedure resulting in double loss, both duelists are equally responsible for submitting the match result. That is insane, because only one person has to like submit to the match slip. So imagine getting punished because the guy who beat you didn't actually submit it. That's just wild. But obviously on Neuron, it's fine because both players actually have the responsibility of saying, okay, I won, I lost. But if it's like a paper match slip, then no, it's only the responsibility of the player who won. Yeah, if you're submitting the match slips, match results via Neuron, you are exempt from this penalty, which is really funny because it should be the other way around. Like, you should be exempt from the penalty if it's like a paper match slip, because again, it's not your fault. Like, you're not even the one going to like the scorekeeper and depositing the paper slip. A lot of stupid updates. So a new end of match procedure, whatever, that's kind of fine-ish. Depends. There's going to be a lot of toxicity, but I think for like the long term of Yu-Gi-Oh, it's fine. Swiss rounds and single elimination will use the same end of match procedure as the new one. And then if a match does not end with a winner, both duelists will receive a loss for the round. So obviously that's the end of match procedure. The final match of a single elimination tournament will no longer be timed. Yeah, so that's top 8, top 4, and the finals. And then some tournaments will have additional rounds of single elimination that will be untimed, but that will be posted in the event FAQs. Hands down the worst update I've ever seen in my entire existence. Like I said, it's the exact opposite of what people asked for. They wanted a bigger top cut, they got a smaller top cut. They wanted potentially less Swiss rounds, they're getting 2 more Swiss rounds. Now every YCS is going to be just like a UDS. YCSs are going to be way too competitive, not based on... The goal is no longer to have fun, but rather really just to win. So Konami really messed up here. I have nothing else to say. But yeah, you guys let me know what you think of all these new updates in the comment section below. I'm probably gonna make like a more in-depth video going on like my my more filtered thoughts, like through a script or something real soon. So stay tuned, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.